Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Job Interview Bootcamp. Inarochinhos, my dears, eu tenho que pedir perdão porque foi um erro de escrita que eu só fui perceber agora. Nas outras aulas estava interview, sem o R, mas é interview com um R, tá? Claro que eu tenho colocado o nome certinho no post do blog, mas é bom eu falar para vocês. Foi um erro de digitação meu. Today, we are going to talk about how to handle red flags. Red flags related to these topics. The the oldest experience red flag. So, for example, if you are asked, why did you leave your old job? Was the company unsatisfactory? You need to remember that you should never, ever badmouth a previous employer. Even if your boss was terrible, do not complain. It makes you look like a complainer and a risk to the new company. Okay? Let's talk about the strategy to leave this situation. When you are asked the following question, why did you leave your job? Focus on what attracted you to the new job, not what you hated about the old job. So it's the pull versus push. Okay, so avoid push. My boss was difficult and the pay was low. You are complaining. Even if it's true, you should never say that to a boss, to an HR person. Never. Now you will use the pull technique. I learned a lot there, but I am looking for a role with more opportunities for growth and new challenges, which I see in your company. So you are not highlighting the issues on the other company. You are actually highlighting why this company is better for you at that moment. Professional euphemisms. They are always very good to use, okay? Soft words for hard situations. Example. Situation number 1. Fired or layoff. You were fired or you're on layoff. You should never use I was fired or they kicked me out. Never. You could say the company went through a restructuring and my position was impacted. So basically, they kicked you off, okay? Quit when you leave the company. I hated the culture, so I quit. Never. I decided to move on to find a culture that aligns better with my values, okay? If you are taking a gap, I couldn't find any job. So you are coming from a very long gap. You were without the job and now you are coming back. You would never say I couldn't find a job. You will say that I took a sabbatical to focus on upskilling and professional development. So it's not that you are unemployed, you are upskilling, okay? You are getting better, you are improving. The third strategy is to explain the gaps. Okay, so if you have a gap in your resume, treat treat it as an active time. So, for example, I took time to focus on my English studies. I was working on freelance projects. I took a break to care for a family matter. So you need to fill the gap even if you didn't do anything, okay? Because it's important that you show that this gap was not only out of laziness, it's because you were doing something else that it's important or related to your job or culture of the company. If you talk about your family, for example, they might think that you are a family man or a family woman or a family person that likes to spend time with your family, depending on the culture. That is very nice. If you're leaving a job now, you should say something like, I'm looking for a new opportunity because I want to develop my skills in Tao. And I feel I have reached a ceiling at my current company. So I have reached the top. I cannot go further and I want to move further with your company. If you have a gap, I told you, but I'm going to show you an example. During the gap, I was proactively coursing something or doing something to prepare for my next step in my career. Now here is the safe list. You guys love the safe list, so I am coming back with the safe list. Words that you should change or exchange, switch. Fired, uh-uh. Impacted by, um, impacted by something, it's better to talk about your position. So, for example, my position was impacted by a restructuring. So you were fired because of a reorganization that of the company, but it's not your fault. Laid off. So, for example, they let you go because the company was broke. The company went through a downsizing process. So, they laid me off or let me go. Quitting. When you quit, I have two options. I am looking for a culture that aligns better with my values, or I am looking for new challenges and room for growth. These words here in bold, they are very important. Take note. Gap time for time off or for family. The first one, time off. I took an active sabbatical to focus on upskilling. As I told you, upskilling is when you are coursing, doing something to improve a skill. And gap for family, it's related to family matters. So family matter is always good because it's hard when they implicate with that because it's family, family and emergencies happen. I took time off to care for my family or for a family matter which is now resolved. It's important to make sure that if it is about a problem, it's now resolved because otherwise they will think that you are still having the problem and you might have problem at the job later on. Now let's read some full examples. Actually, these full examples I'm going to read one, okay? And the others you are going to use as example for your practice. I'm going to read scenario A. You are leaving your current job. The pull strategy. I've learned a lot at Fulano's market over the last 2 years, and I'm grateful for the opportunities. However, I feel I have reached a ceiling there. I am looking for a new role where I can develop my skills in market management and take on more leadership responsibilities, which is why I was so excited about this opening at your new marketing company. Okay, so this is one of the best examples. The other two are about other situations. Now let's talk about common mistakes to avoid. You should always avoid the toxic X effect, which is bad mouthing, okay? So complain about your previous boss, complain about your previous colleagues or company. This is terrible because the recruiter will think if they talk like this about them, they will talk like this about us as well, okay? Always be neutral or positive. Focus on gratitude and for the opportunity, even if you hated it. I know it sounds fake, but when you are in on a job interview, you can't take any risks. Oversharing, which is the TMI, too much information, okay? Explaining exactly why you were fired or specific details. It sounds a little bit dramatic. You don't need to. The recruiter is not looking to be your therapist. It's an interview, not a therapy session. Now, to fix it, you could keep it high level and brief. Use restructuring or values. Script and move on to the next feature. Okay? The desperate apology. So, this is also something for you to be careful about. Apologizing for your gap or for being unemployed, it's not necessary, okay? It shows a lack of confidence. It makes you look like a victim of somehow. So, you will have to own your own story. You didn't fail to find a job, you just took some time off to improve your skills. Lying about the exit. One thing is masquerading, the other is it's lying. So for example, saying that you quit when you were actually fired. Background checks exist. If they call your previous company and find out you lied, the offer will be canceled. Now, the it's always better to be honest with polite words than to be caught in a lie. Be careful. Don't lie. Just mask the mask your story with better wording and better store and a better plot. Now I want you to do your homework. The homework for today is you will choose the scenario below, one of these. There are 3, okay? And you will fill the gaps with your information, okay, to create the perfect answer. I think you should do all of them because all of them are about different types of scenarios, okay? The first one is if you're quitting, the second if you were let go, the third if you have a gap, okay? And that is it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next lesson. Bye-bye.